Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. And today I got a story about Indiana Jones 5 director James Mangold throwing a temper tantrum after a fan voiced concerns about the upcoming Indiana Jones movie. Before we get to that, I'd like to ask if you could please hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed. If you are already subscribed, make sure you are still subscribed. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people for no apparent reason. It's unclear why they do that. And then hopefully by the end of this video, I will have earned your like and that you will give us a like. And that you will then share this with your friends and family. And then hopefully you will also hit that bell for notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. With that out of the way, let's get into this story. As I said, Indiana Jones 5 director James Mangold threw a temper tantrum after a fan voiced their concerns about the upcoming film starring Harrison Ford. Twitter user, podcaster, and YouTuber Matthew Kanish posted to Twitter his concerns about the upcoming film. This is what he wrote on Twitter. To anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, just let me point out. 1. Steven Spielberg is not directing. 2. Kathleen Kennedy is producing. 3. Harrison Ford is 78 years old. 4. It's written by Jonathan Kasdan, who wrote Solo. Mangold would directly respond by insulting Kanish. It's unclear how he found the tweet. He does provide an explanation that we'll get to a little bit later on, but let's read what his first response was. This is what he wrote. Thanks, Matt. 1. Keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement. 2. Never seen a script by John. Nothing against him, just reality. Butterworths and I started from a blank page. 3. 1 through 3 are hugely talented and all at my side. End quote. So you can see he was insulting him, saying that he's a basement dweller, basically. It's there. You can argue, oh, that's not what he meant, but it's pretty clear he was trying to denigrate. He was denigrating Matthew by calling him a basement dweller in that number 1 part where he says, keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement. But he wouldn't stop there. He would continue to insult and deride Kanish and his podcast team, The Salty Nerd. So the Salty Nerd would tweet, we don't have basements, but we do have a kick-butt studio with a Batman statue. Mangold replied, yeah, that's a kick-butt studio. Congrats on the Batman statue and the jar of corks. So how about you let me finish my film and then be all you want in front of your vinyl bricks lit by your fancy bounce light, and maybe don't call opinion news. This is just like really confusing because the initial tweet is literally just an opinion from Kanish about why he thinks the movie might not be good. It's pretty clear that's what he was saying in the original tweet, but now Mangold is claiming that it's news now. It's very strange, very strange. But before that, he described Kanish as a clickbaiter and a night crawler. He wrote in response to a Twitter user encouraging him. This is what he wrote to this other guy named Axe, who was giving Mangold some words of encouragement. Mangold said, thanks, Axe. I don't mind people griping and prognosticating, but on my watch, false info, ageism, and snark from so-called journalists is going to be confronted directly and forcefully. He added, in my opinion, these clickbaiters like to dish it out, but like night crawlers can't stand the light. Mangold would then get in a back and forth with Kanish. Kanish would respond to another user about his concerns about Ford's age. He wrote, Ford will always be Indy. The issue is whether he's still believable as the character if he's doing crazy action scenes and pushing 80 years old. Mangold responded to this saying, have you read the script, Matt? Clearly not, because you don't even know who wrote it. So why don't you take a rest on my show till there's a trailer or a title or something for you to be upset about? For all you know, I could be addressing all your worries. Kanish replied, sir, I would love it if you proved me wrong and made a great Indiana Jones movie. I've been an Indy fan since I was a kid, and it's one of my all-time favorite franchises, but it's hard to get excited over what I'm seeing. Mangold responded in turn, I'm sorry you are finding it hard to get excited about the film I am making, Matt. Considering you don't know the story, the script, the title, only some of the cast, nor have you seen images. If I were you, I would spend my time flipping hot takes about something that exists. So again, he's still deriding him because apparently he doesn't want people to make opinions based on what they've seen and heard about the Indiana Jones 5 movie already. And there has been quite a bit of information out there. We've been covering it on Bounding Into Comics. And one of the biggest red flags is they brought in Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is an out-and-out feminist, played the super annoying, awful droid, L33T or whatever it was. It was like Leet robot from Solo. And then she also has like a very feminist British show called Fleabag as well. And they brought her on. And then she was also came on to make feminist changes to James Bond as well. So there are plenty of reasons to be concerned, and it's not just the ones that Kadish brought up. But nevertheless, Kadish retorted. He said, if you would care to enlighten me about your story or anything else you'd be comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear it. But so far, everything I have seen, heard is not encouraging. Please set me straight. Right, so he's he's basing his opinions on what he has seen and heard about the movie, which he is allowed to do, and James Mangold apparently doesn't think that should be allowable based on what he's tweeting. From there, Kadish would assert to another user that he's, quote, free to share my opinions wherever the hell I want about whatever I want. Mangold then chimed in stating, tell us about your Hollywood experiences, Matt. Give me some titles of your work so we can be on equal footing. And so Kadish had also said that I've argued with people in writers' rooms and on movie sets back when I worked in Hollywood. Kadish replied to Mangold asking for his credits, saying, I'm not as successful as you, sir. I made a movie with Jeremy Renner back in 2004 and tried to get it into a feature, but it ultimately went nowhere. Worked with a couple producers on unproduced screenplays, quit Hollywood and became a novelist. Got lots of experience in town, though. Mangold would then eventually get into a back and forth with another YouTuber, Odin's Movie Blog, where he attempted to explain why he decided to throw his temper tantrum while still throwing the temper tantrum. But first he responded to Twitter user Dignity Dude, and the Dignity Dude wrote this. Apparently, Twitter users are now required to submit movie opinion permit applications to James Mangold in triplicate for his explicit approval. Mangold replied, nah, that's not what I was saying. I was coming after a vendor selling clicks, not fans. Sort it out, dude. Odin's movie review responded saying, lol, he had no links or anything, just laying out his thoughts, and then you so-called professional decided to have a hissy fit. Sad and pathetic. God help you. Yeah, hissy fit is another word to describe a temper tantrum, because I definitely think he's having a temper tantrum here. Mangold replied, someone replied and included me if you care to know. The original tweet came from a site, not a fan. It had facts wrong and was nasty. I understand you think that I should have let people like him spout this crap. Most days I do, not today. So he's talking about correcting facts when he's wrong here too, because it was obviously, as one noted, it was the original tweet was from a fan, Matthew Kadish, which Kadish had already said that he was a fan. And he's been a fan of Indiana Jones for a very long time. So he's just reaching for things now to try and defend his own terrible behavior. Dignity Dude then chimed in again. He said Matthew Kadish is not a fan. Mangold replied, say he has a YouTube channel and a website. He may well also be a fan, whatever the F that means. F, I'm an indie fan. He certainly is not my fan. Hardly seems a Harrison Ford fan. So what does that word mean exactly? Remember, this is all over Kadish just expressing his concerns about what he's seen about Indiana Jones 5, and now now the director of the movie is saying that he's not a fan of him, not a fan of Indiana Jones, and not a fan of Harrison Ford, just because Kadish expressed concerns about what he's seeing about Indiana Jones 5. But interestingly enough, Kadish would actually respond to this one from Mangold. He says, I'm actually very fond of your movies, sir. I'm also a huge fan of Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford. I hope you can make a good movie. I did not tag you in any post, FYI. And it's clear from that original tweet that we showed earlier that he did not. However, Mangold would continue to respond to the original thread to a now deleted tweet he wrote, "See, I thought fans liked things. I didn't know it meant hating things. The other confusing aspect is that I haven't made the movie yet, but, quote, fans." Odin's movie blog responded, "Fans love things until you crap all over them." Mangold then replied, "And clearly you are positive I am going to crap all over things, although I'm not sure why." This part was really funny because Odin's movie blog points out that he's already crapping over people, and he just doesn't realize it. So it's pretty pretty obvious that, like, hey, if you're gonna go do it on Twitter, why wouldn't you do it in your movie as well? So this is what Odin's movie blog said. He said, "You're literally crapping on fans now in your comments," which is that's how he started. He started this whole thing by denigrating Matthew Kadish, basically implying that he's a basement dweller. Mangold responded to this, "And whose fans are these fans am I crapping on? What kind of fans are these? They're clearly not Harrison Ford fans, not my fans. Don't seem much like indie fans. Help me understand, because usually when I approach someone saying I'm a fan, I am not insulting them." Remember, Matthew Kadish did not insult anyone. He just expressed his concerns for the film, and you could argue that he maybe worded it wrong. Mangold takes issue with the first sentence. "To anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, just let me point out." And so that's him pointing out his own concerns, and that's how he is wording it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It just seems that Mangold got triggered by that, and then he threw, as Odin's movie blog said, a hissy fit. And I think a better term to describe it is a temper tantrum, because I think he definitely is throwing a temper tantrum here. But now he's just insulting people, saying they're not fans, without ever having meeting these people. What's interesting, he did eventually respond to Kadish in a more conciliatory tone. He wrote, "Someone replied you to my address. You should be able to vent, Matt. I thought you were a pro blogger. To me, there's a difference between fans and people with shows. Next time I will try to hear you out and just correct the facts." So here it's almost like it's very conciliatory. It's not an actual apology, which I honestly think he should apologize for, because his behavior was totally uncalled for and he was wrong. But it does seem that he was expressing that he was at least implying that he was in the wrong. He kind of is understanding that now. And then he would try and shift his tone while interacting with a number of other Twitter users as well. To one user, he wrote, "I understand wariness. I live it. I don't know if I'll make you happy, but my team and I will knock ourselves out trying to make something good. We admire the craft of the originals. I hope when you see real images, they look better to you than paparazzi shots from bushes." And then to another, he wrote simply, "Thanks, Jorge." And then, I don't know, Jorge or George, I'm not sure how this person pronounces it, but they had tweeted, "Wow, a lot of drama. I looked up your IMDb. Nice, dude. Don't know what Fuzz is about. You got some I've enjoyed very much, which makes me hopeful for Indy 5. Don't take it personal, mate. Last Indy left us disappointed. We've got issues with Kathleen Kennedy handling of Star Wars. None of that on you. Make a great film." And then, as I said, he said, "Thanks, Jorge or George." And then to another, this person, Price of Reason Shills is their Twitter handle. And they tweeted, "Real talk, if it wasn't another George Lucas IP, Sans Lucas, produced by Kathleen Kennedy, perhaps you'd hear less concerns, but the Star Wars sequel trilogy fiasco still looms large. Lucasfilm employees belittling fans and attacking them for years doesn't help either." Mangold responded, "I understand that point, just trying to do a good job later." So, I mean, he's trying to change the tone here, switch the message, it looks like to me. But he was still taking pot shots at Kadish's original tweet as well. To one user, he responded, "Funny. Usually when I list reasons for not having high hopes, I don't start with, to anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, just let me point out," like I said, he takes issue with that first sentence, and that's where it seems like he's getting hung up on that, the way that Kadish worded it, which anyone actually looking at it, to me it's pretty, the way I looked at it, it's pretty clearly he's just expressing his concerns about Indiana Jones 5, which a lot of people were making even before you saw the paparazzi photos of Harrison Ford making the rounds on social media. But what is interesting about Mangold's comments is that they are in direct contradiction to the professed values of Disney and Lucasfilm by the company's CEO, Bob Chapek. If you remember, Chapek was asked about the firing of Gina Carano back in March during the company's 2021 annual meeting of shareholders. Chapek responded to the question saying, "I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, yet instead standing for values that are universal, values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion," he added. And we seek to have not only how we operate, but the content that we make reflective of the rich diversity of the world we live. And I think that's a world we all should live in harmony and peace. James Mangold clearly did not embody those values in his responses to Matthew Kanish and a number of other people on Twitter. He disrespected Kanish, showed no decency, and was clearly not inclusive as he began insulting people left and right over their opinions. I think there's also an argument to be made that he showed a lack of integrity when he was calling Matthew Kanish and lots of other people responding to him not fans of Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, or himself. And then that just leaves me to wonder why James Mangold has not been fired for this behavior, given Disney claimed to have fired Gina Carano for, quote, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities. While Mangold didn't denigrate people based on their cultural and religious identities, and neither did Gina Carano, Mangold definitely did denigrate people, which is clearly laid out for you in this video. So if that is Disney's standard, one has to wonder why James Mangold is not being fired right now. If that is the standard that Disney has set for itself, James Mangold should no longer be a part of the Indiana Jones 5 production, again, based on Disney's own standards that they have laid out. Let me know what you think. What did you make of this epic temper tantrum? This was on the level of Rian Johnson. It's on the level of Chuck Wendig. Interestingly enough, all people who were working for Lucasfilm at the time. It's almost like this is part of Lucasfilm's culture, that they throw temper tantrums, throw hissy fits, and just try and crap all over people and don't actually live up to the values that they profess that they have. Again, let me know what you think. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounty into Comics.